Hello and a very good evening. You're watching Rajasthan Television. This is Verdict 2013. I'm your host Frank Pereira. Let's begin with the headlines. Voting for Madhya Pradesh Assembly elections comes to an end. Fate of more than 2,500 candidates for 230 seats sealed. Polling in Mizoram goes off peacefully as well. Voters use paper audit trial for the first time. Supreme Court rules out fresh polls in case majority of voters choose NOTA option to reject all the candidates. And Arvind Kejriwal seeks 2 more days to reply to the Election Commission's notice over violation of Model Code of Conduct. First up, polling for the Madhya Pradesh Assembly came to an end today at 5 p.m. Voters came out in large numbers to decide the fate of over 2,500 candidates to choose a new government. Now, the results will be declared on the 8th of December. Here's a look at how Madhya Pradesh voted today.
Elections were held for 230-member assembly in Madhya Pradesh amid tight security today. Polling opened at 8 a.m. across the state, barring 3 constituencies in Balaghat district, where voting began an hour earlier due to Maoist threats. Braving a chilly morning, voters queued up at polling centres even before they opened. As the sun rose, the queues lengthened. By noon, 26% of the 4.66 crore electorate had voted.
ये बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट है। इसी के आधार पर हमारी सरकार का यहाँ पर वो होना है।
ये प्रजातंत्र में जो अधिकार मिले हैं उसका ये सबसे बड़ा हथियार है और मुझे खुशी है कि आज मैंने अपने बूथ पर सबसे पहले मतदान किया है।
हम इस तरह का प्रत्याशी चुनना चाहते हैं जो युवा हो, जो हायर एजुकेटेड प्राप्त हो और क्षेत्र के विकास में जिसकी बुनियादी हमारे क्षेत्र की आवश्यकताओं को समझे और विकास की क्षमता रखता हो।
There was enthusiasm among the first-time voters too, who came out in large numbers today.
फर्स्ट टाइम एक्साइटमेंट है तो काफी मतलब है, थ्रिल्ड है हम लोग। जब रिजल्ट्स के लिए तो और भी थ्रिल्ड होंगे कि हम लोग ने दिया है, कहाँ गया है, क्या होगा। वेट कर रहे थे हम लोग जब से सुना था इलेक्शन का। मैं, मेरा पूरा फ्रेंड सर्कल, हम लोग कॉलेज में काफी हॉट डिस्कशंस भी हुए हैं, तो काफी एक्साइटेड थे इनफैक्ट।
Stalwarts from BJP and Congress too cast their vote in the morning. Congress's Digvijay Singh and BJP's Sushma Swaraj were among the first to cast their ballot. State's incumbent Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan offered prayers before casting his ballot. Chauhan is seeking a record 3rd term in the state.
5 साल में मध्य प्रदेश बदला है और जनता से मेरी यही अपील है कि मेरा एक सपना है मध्य प्रदेश को देश और दुनिया के सबसे अच्छे राज्यों की पांत में ले जाके खड़ा करना है। इसलिए जनता जनार्दन का भरपूर आशीर्वाद, समर्थन और सहयोग भारतीय जनता पार्टी को मिले।
हर चुनाव चुनौतीपूर्ण होता है और गंभीर होता है, ठीक है, और मेरा तो पूरा विश्वास है कि जनता का विश्वास कांग्रेस पार्टी के साथ रहेगा और कांग्रेस की सरकार बनेगी।
Congress seeks to return to power in the state after 10 years. After winning the assembly elections in 2003, the BJP retained power by winning 143 seats in 2008, while the Congress won 71. The results for the Madhya Pradesh Assembly polls will be out on the 8th of December, along with the results of Delhi, Rajasthan and Chhattisgarh Assembly elections. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, our correspondent Rajkamal Rao joins us for more from the ground in Bhopal at the moment with this story. Of course, Rajkamal, a big day in Madhya Pradesh, a big turnout as well. Take us through what exactly happened all through the day today.
Frank, the turnout was very good. We have been reporting morning 7 o'clock. Balaghat was the first district to start polling, and they finished their polling by 3 o'clock. Balaghat had 70% polling. Overall, Madhya Pradesh polling is as the information of 5:30 p.m. The Election Commission Chief Electoral Officer gave us a report. 82%, 70.8% is the throughout the overall poll in Madhya Pradesh. Hoshangabad district had recorded 83% highest, and Satna, which had only 54%, is the lowest among other districts. Frank, 10% has been higher. 83% was registered the maximum women voter percentage, and 4 was the men's voter percentage. Polling has been peaceful. There was no violations of any model code of conduct or election violences. Especially in Rewa and Satna region, there were minor violences. Satna can have one or two polling booths which can go for repolling, but that's not finalized. Election Commission is waiting for final data, Frank.
Well, just before, in fact, we got you on the telephone line, Rajkumar, we heard what the incumbent Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan as well as CM aspirant of the Congress, of course, both of them come out and speak to the media. The mood in both the camps seem to be upbeat at the moment.
See, 1998, when the Congress was voted to power, it was 60%. When the BJP voted back in power in 2003, it was 67%. So there was a 7% voted or not. But if you can compare the 2013, which is 70.80, to the 2008, it was only 2%. The recent increase in the voter percentage only 2%. So we cannot, at this moment, Congress or BJP can have their own calculations, but this 2% increase cannot be treated as anti-incumbent or pro-incumbent. It's a bit dicey situation, Frank.
All right, Rajkumar Rao, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for bringing us all those details from the ground there in Madhya Pradesh. Moving on now, the other poll-bound state and the other state that went to polls today was Mizoram, and where the Congress, led by the Chief Minister, of course, is seeking a second term. Voters came out in large numbers to decide the fate of 142 candidates for a 40-member assembly. The voting in the state was preponed by more than a week on request of the Mizoram Synod, the state's highest church. Well, the results will be declared on the 9th of December. Here's how Mizoram voted today.
Polling began for the 40-member Mizoram Assembly today at 7 in the morning. Brisk polling was reported from many polling stations in Aizawl, where long queues were seen in front of booths in Mission Weng and Thak Thing areas even before elections began. Within the first 4 hours of voting, 36.6% votes were cast. Elderly men and women were brought to the polling stations by their family members to exercise their franchise in early hours. The state recorded a first in today's election by using the voter verifiable paper audit trail that allows voters to check if their votes are cast the way they wished.
आदमी को लोग का ऊपर में पब्लिक लोग का ऊपर में भी है and both the duty also, so both.
So feeling happy after casting
Yes, of course, I'm very happy and it's very fair also. I found it's very good, convenient machine which we are having this year.
Chief Minister Lalthanhawla cast his vote with his wife Lal Riliani at Zarkot 2 polling station, which is the building of the government combined middle school in Zarkot. The Chief Minister and all his 11 ministers are among the 142 candidates in fray.
There is no anti-incumbency atmosphere here now. Because there is no corruption, the churches are happy. Because we have looked into the welfare to the maximum extent possible of the government servants. They are happy. And the people in general are happy with the new land use program.
Security was tightened all along the Manipur border as well as the unfenced 64-kilometer border near the tri-junction of Mizoram, Tripura and Bangladesh in Mamit district. There were 1,126 polling stations in the state, of which 94 were identified as critical. There were no reports of any untoward incidents during the polling process. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Rajya Sabha Television's Pranav Goswami caught up with the incumbent Chief Minister of Mizoram, Lalthanhawla, while the state voted for a new assembly. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
Sir, what will be your priorities if the people give their verdict in favor of your party this time also?
I'm quite confident that the people will give us a clear verdict again this time. Our priority, as you know, is upliftment of the poor, the farmers, and the weaker section of the people. And we shall be continuing our flagship program, this new land use program. It is a very popular program. Those people who are very critical of this program initially, like the Mizo National Front, the PC and all that, they said that should they be voted to power, they will also continue this new land use program. I don't know how they're going to do it. And we have initiated a number of projects like hydel projects, then prospecting natural gas, oil, etc. Ports projects. And we are going to have in the Bay of Bengal through Myanmar's territory so that entire northeastern region shall have a trade route with the Southeast Asian countries. All these things will be continued.
How this development work can take place if your party again comes in power?
We have given them schools everywhere, so I don't think any backward pocket is there. But whatever backward pocket they call, we are developing them with the central assistance.
Right. So Chief Minister Lalthanhawla is very optimistic and very confident that his party will perform well in this election. With camera person Dushmanta, this is Pranav Goswami, Rajya Sabha TV, Aizawl, Mizoram.
Just for more from Aizawl on the story right now. Well, Pranav, of course, you did manage to catch up with the Chief Minister earlier in the day. Now, the mood in the camp seems to be extremely upbeat as far as the Congress and the Chief Minister there are concerned. Pranav, if you can hear me clearly, of course, the mood certainly seems to be upbeat there in the Congress camp, and the Chief Minister believes that the Congress is going to come back to power.
Yeah, right now Congress seems to be very confident that they'll perform well in this election also. Last election, Congress got 31 seats out of 40 seats. So this time, obviously, Congress is very confident, but there are certainly some issues which go against the ruling party. This time, Mizoram is also facing some issues like illegal immigration from neighboring countries. And then there are some small insurgent groups, they are very active. So opposition is also putting allegations on this issue. Apart from this, development issue is there. Obviously, these northeastern states, they always look at the center for assistance. So development issues are also there. If you see in 2003 election, the opposition party, MNF, they secured more than 31% vote, and they got 21 seats out of 40, and they formed the government. And 2008 opposition party got only less than 1% vote percentage, but they could only win 3 assembly seats. So you can understand that slightly this voting percentage plays a very vital role. So this time also Congress is very confident, but the opposition parties, all small opposition parties, the regional parties, they formed an alliance against Congress ruling party called MDA, Mizoram Democratic Alliance. So we'll have to wait and see that whether this MDA performs well or Congress again comes in power.
And Pranav, talking about the polls today as such, what was the voter turnout like in Mizoram, and take us through what happened through the day?
Mizoram always records very high turnout. This time also it has recorded very good turnout. So far it has gone up to 80%. So you can understand that the voters of Mizoram, they are very aware about their right of voting.
All right, Pranav Goswami, thank you so much for joining us there with all those details and bringing us up to date with the latest. Shifting focus now, of course, the Election Commission addressed a press conference on voting in both the states. Let's listen in to what the Election Commission had to say.
It was a very brisk poll. The polling had started at 7 and ended at 4 o'clock. The timings were different, 7 to 4 p.m. The polls were absolutely peaceful. No untoward incident of any kind was reported. And as per the last figures that we received, around 6 o'clock, as I had mentioned in case of Madhya Pradesh, it had reached 81% in Mizoram.
मध्य प्रदेश के 230 विधानसभा निर्वाचन क्षेत्रों में चुनाव आज संपन्न हुआ है. Brisk and peaceful, but for some stray incidents, generally confined to Bhilwara and Morena districts.
Moving on now, the Supreme Court today refused to direct the Election Commission to hold fresh polls in case the majority of the electorate exercises none of the above or the NOTA option introduced in the assembly polls in 5 states. Now, the option was introduced to allow voters to reject all the candidates. Now, the court said that it is for the legislature to amend the law as it is too early to pass such a direction. On September 27th, the court had given the path-breaking verdict holding that the voters have a right to reject all candidates contesting polls in a constituency by pressing the NOTA, a button for negative vote. It had said that this would compel political parties to field sound candidates who are known for their integrity. Now, Aam Aadmi Party's Arvind Kejriwal has sought 2 more days to reply to a notice sent by the Election Commission over violation of Model Code of Conduct ahead of the Delhi Assembly elections. The notice was issued to Arvind Kejriwal on November 21st. He was asked to reply to the poll panel by 11 a.m. today. The notice was issued to Kejriwal for allegedly violating the poll panel's Model Code of Conduct on religious grounds during his poll campaign in New Delhi. The poll panel issued the notice for instigating the religious sentiments of a certain community. The complaint against Kejriwal was filed by the BJP leader Harish Khurana, who raised an objection to the pamphlets of the party containing a special appeal to Muslim voters. Meanwhile, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi continued his poll campaign in Rajasthan by addressing 2 rallies in Pushkar and Jodhpur. He was accompanied by the state's Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, Congress General Secretary C.P. Joshi and Union Minister Sachin Pilot. Addressing a large gathering, Rahul Gandhi praised Gehlot government's work in the last 5 years. He also highlighted the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor project worth 3 lakh crore rupees, which he said will benefit the state immensely. He claimed that the Congress government has done more development in the state than the previous BJP governments. He also reiterated his party's resolve to eradicate poverty in the state.
50 लाख लोगों को धन की इज्जत करते हैं और जात की इज्जत करते हैं, हर एक व्यक्ति की इज्जत करते हैं। आप हमारे योजनाओं को देख लो। भोजन का अधिकार है, सूचना का अधिकार है, रोजगार का अधिकार है। हम ये किसी एक धर्म के लिए नहीं बनाते, किसी एक जात के लिए नहीं बनाते, पूरे हिंदुस्तान के लिए बनाते।
And the BJP's prime ministerial candidate Narendra Modi is on poll campaign trail in Rajasthan as well. Today, he addressed rallies in Khetri, Sri Ganganagar and Pilibanga. Continuing his tirade against the Congress-led government in the state, Modi slammed Ashok Gehlot for not being able to continue with the growth rate during the BJP government's tenure. He highlighted drop in agricultural production and fall in a number of tourists in Rajasthan as failures of the government. He also invited Gehlot to his state Gujarat after the poll results for a lesson in development. Rajasthan will go to polls on December 1st. The Congress-led Ashok Gehlot government is seeking re-election for a second term in the state.
कांग्रेस के लोग वोट मांग रहे हैं, किस बात के लिए वोट मांग रहे बताओ मुझे। नहीं भाई, कुछ अच्छा किया है जब वोट मांग रहे हो आपने जनता का कुछ भला किया है क्या वोट मांग रहे हो? राजस्थान का भला किया है क्या? किस मुंह से वोट मांग रहे हो मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा है। और आप भी भले लोग हैं, उनकी बात सुन रहे हो, सुनने के काबिल है क्या?
I will take a breather on the show right now, but do stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Verdict 2013. Bhilwara in Rajasthan is one of the major industrial hubs in the country. Despite that, development in the area has failed to satisfy the people at the grassroots level. Lack of job opportunities and water scarcity are some of the issues locals feel will play a main factor in the forthcoming assembly polls. Here's a report.
Rajasthan's industrial hub Bhilwara is well famous for its textile factories. A row of textile, sand and mining factories welcomes as one enters the district. On one side, the industrial belt offers job for many, but the same industries are also the cause of woes for many. Water is a major requirement for textile processing units. Industries here rely on borewell for water as they don't get help from the government in this regard. Frequent use of water from borewell has led to the depletion of underground water level.
There are few water bodies here and there which are like very much dried up. The industries over here draws water from the underground, and because of that there is an acute shortage of water, especially the underground water. And Bhilwara district is in the dark zone, and the people over here faces acute water shortage in this whole region.
Drastic drop in the water level here irks local people who complain of lack of drinking water. Despite being an industrial hub, Bhilwara doesn't have any new industrial ventures since at least during last few years. Land is also a major issue here. Almost all industrial lands under Rajasthan Industrial and Investment Corporation are also fully saturated.
There is no permission from the government to withdraw the water. Any new industries, they cannot withdraw the water from the ground, and government is not providing any water.
हम औद्योगिकरण जो भिलवाड़ा के अंदर और विकास चाहते हैं और जो उद्योगों की समस्याएं हैं उनको निपटाने का काम हम सबसे ज्यादा करेंगे.
Currently, Bhilwara exports approximately over 2,000 crore rupees per annum worth textiles, sandstone and minerals. Around 700 containers per month are dispatched to seaports. But transportation is also a major industrial woe here.
There is no daily trains. You have to wait for frequency of the train, and there is no direct route to the port.
50% of laborers in these industries are migrants. They are mostly from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. While the migrants have their own set of problems, locals complain lack of job opportunities, blaming the migrant laborers for taking up their work.
मेन तो अतिक्रमण की समस्या है और पॉल्यूशन की समस्या है.
बेकारी बहुत है एक तो, और इसके अलावा पानी की भी समस्या है.
भ्रष्टाचार है, अतिक्रमण है और क्या नाम बेरोजगारी.
Major political parties like BJP and Congress are fielding their candidates here with handful of promises to address the local issues.
आम आदमी की भी सबसे बड़ी शिकायत वो है कि पानी हमें टाइम पे मिले और हमारे बच्चों को शिक्षा, अच्छी शिक्षा मिले और आम आदमी को रहने के लिए छत मिले. और इसके अलावा आम आदमियों को जो हम खाने पीने की अभी खाद्य सुरक्षा और ये जितनी भी तरह की योजनाएं बनी है उनका हम जगह जगह उनको लाभ दिलाएं, ये सबसे बड़ी योजना रहेगी.
यहाँ पर जितना डोमेस्टिक यूज है पानी का उतना ही कॉमर्शियल यूज है, इंडस्ट्रियल यूज है. तो उस हिसाब से कोई परमानेंट, क्योंकि टेम्पररी न करके परमानेंट हम पानी का लाने का जो है उसका करेंगे.
Since 1977, Congress has won twice from Bhilwara constituency in Rajasthan in 1985 and in 1998 assembly elections. The constituency gains importance also because of the heavyweight candidate and Member of Parliament CP Joshi. With Neetu Eldos in Bhilwara, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, our correspondent Neetu Eldos, who brought us this ground report, joins us for more on the story right now. Neetu, what is the kind of response you got from the local voters in Bhilwara regarding the government's role in actually dealing with these problems?
Bhilwara district in Rajasthan, you can say, is a BJP stronghold because the current sitting MLA is BJP, and the last time also BJP won from this state. And here, Bhilwara is a major industrial and textile hub. And the textile processing units, it need large amount of water for their functioning. So just because of that, what they do is like they dig water from the underground, and just because of that, the water level, the underground water level has gone very low, and Bhilwara is categorized as a dark zone. So the main problem that people over here are facing is the acute water shortage in this region.
All right. Now, have they been able to successfully raise this particular issue and in fact, take it to the concerned authorities? What has been the state administration strategy to deal with these problems?
The state government has done much to improve the water level of this region, and then there are lots of other programs also implemented to reach people for the drinking water. Especially, first thing is like there are three things. First thing is like the rainwater harvesting. The farmers over here are given almost like 50,000 rupees to implement the rainwater harvesting scheme everywhere. And next is like they have given subsidies for implementing water pumps everywhere over here, like almost 80% subsidy is given to set up water pumps all over the place. And next important thing is the Chaupal water scheme. For this was implemented. The Supreme Court gave sanction for this project in 2012, and the World Bank has also given almost aid of almost like 1,363 crore.
All right, Neetu Eldos, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us there with all those details, and we'll have to leave it at that as far as the show is concerned as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again same time, same place tomorrow.